देव नरोत्तमम्
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं
व्यासं
व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरये
ततो जयमुदीरये
नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भागवते उत्तमा श्लोके
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी
भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी।
Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Canto 4, Chapter 4, text number 22. The chapter is titled Transcendental Knowledge. Yadricha labha santusto
यदृच्छलाभ संतुष्टो
Dyandva atito vimatsara
द्वन्द्वार्तो विमत्सर
Samasiddhau asiddhau cha
समासिद्ध असिद्धौ च
Kritvapi nan nibhadyate
कृत्वापि न निबध्यते।
Yadricha labha santusto
यदृच्छलाभ संतुष्टो
Dvandva atito vimatsara
द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः
Samasiddhau asiddhau cha
समासिद्धावसिद्धौ च
Kritvapi nan nibhadyate
कृत्वापि न निबध्यते।
Yadricha labha santusto
यदृच्छलाभ संतुष्टो
Dvandva atito vimatsara
द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः
Samasiddhau asiddhau cha
समासिद्धावसिद्धौ च
Kritvapi nan nibhadyate
कृत्वापि न निबध्यते।
Failure or not, so doing although never becomes affected. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
यदृच्छालाभ संदुष्टो
यदृच्छलाभ संतुष्टो
द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः
द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः
तमः सिद्धौ असिद्धौ च
समासिद्धौ च
कृत्वा निबध्यते
कृत्वापि न निबध्यते।
Go ahead, Mataji.
No, go ahead, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yadruchalabha santushto
Yadrichalava santusto
Dvandatito vimatsara
Dvandvatito vimatsara
Samasiddhava siddhau cha
समासिद्धौ च
Kritva pina nibhadyate
Kritvapi
कृत्वापि न निबध्यते। यदृच्छलाभ संतुष्टो
Yadrichalava santusto
द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः
Dvandvatito vimatsara
समासिद्धावसिद्धौ च
Samasiddhavasiddhau cha
कृत्वापि न निबध्यते।
Kritvapi nibhadyate. Synonyms. Yadricha, out of his own accord. Yadricha, out of its own accord. Labha, with gain. Santushtaha, satisfied. Dvandva, duality. Atita, surpassed. Vimatsaraha, free from envy. Samaha, steady. Siddhav in success, asiddhav failure, cha also, kritva doing, api although, na never, nibadyate becomes affected. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki. He who is satisfied with gain which comes of his own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. Please repeat. He who is satisfied
He who is satisfied
with gain
with gain
which comes of its own accord,
which comes of its own accord,
who is free from duality
who is free from duality
and does not envy,
and
Does
does not
not
envy,
who is steady in both success and failure,
who is
who is
steady
steady in both
both
success and
success
failure,
and failure,
is never entangled,
is
is
never
is
never
never
entangled,
entangled,
although performing actions.
although
although
performing
performing
actions.
actions.
Purpose. A Krishna conscious person does not make much endeavor even to maintain his body. He is satisfied with gains which are obtained of their own accord. He neither begs nor borrows. As in his power, and is satisfied with whatever is obtained by his honest labor. He is therefore independent in his livelihood. He does not accept engagement in anyone's service if it might hamper his own service in Krishna consciousness. However, for the service of the Lord, he can participate in any kind of action without being disturbed by the duality of the material world. The duality of the material world is felt in terms of heat and cold or misery and happiness. A Krishna conscious person is above duality because he does not hesitate to act in any way for the satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, he is steady both in success and in failure. These signs are visible when one is fully in transcendental knowledge. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurmritan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manabhisam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swamrupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam. He who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, he is never entangled although performing actions. So we see here Lord Krishna is explaining in this particular section from almost we see 421 to 419 to 424 rather of the section where he's describing about different kinds initially of action, akarma, karma, vikarma, right? In the previous session last week, we discussed about that. Vittaraga bhaya krodha, right? Without being freed from attachment and envy. So one who is performing activities on the platform of transcendental knowledge, right? He's not attached to the results of the activity. Neither is disturbed by the dualities of this material world. And the dualities of the material world is mentioned in these words so nicely by Prabhupada. Heat, cold, misery, happiness, right? In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 14th verse, Matra sparshatu kaunteya shitoshna sukadakha daha agama apaino anityam tam titikshasva bharata. Ocean of Bharat, ocean of Bharat, one who is not disturbed by the non-permanent appearance and disappearance of happiness and distress, which arise due to sense perception. Right. Matra sparshatu kaunteya shitoshna sukadakha agama apaino anityam. So a person is not disturbed by non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, which are like summer and winter seasons. Right. So similarly, a person fixed in transcendental knowledge, he performs his activity. Right. He performs his activity, but he is not disturbed by this duality. Neither he over endeavors. Atyahara prayaschascha prajalpanyamagraha. Right, atyahar, in act of instruction, is mentioned. Atyahar does not necessarily mean only overeating. It also means over endeavoring. These are unfavorable to devotional service. When a person over endeavors, right? A Krishna conscious person does not over endeavor, right? The results, you see, it comes of his own accord. He performs his endeavor in his capacity, does not over endeavor, does not let it affect his Krishna consciousness in any way. Right? Iha yasya haridasya karmana manasagira. Nikhalasu api avasatu jivan mukta uchyate. Jivan mukta uchyate. A Krishna conscious person with his mind, body and words is always engaged in such a way that though he is performing material activities, he is in a liberated stage. He is in a liberated stage. He does not come in contact. He is not affected by happiness, distress, heat, cold. He is unwavered in performance of his activities. And when it comes to Krishna conscious activities, he completely, fully gets absorbed in performing his Krishna conscious activities, devotional service. Without saying, oh, no, this is menial, this is not menial, this or that, oh, I'm now cleaning the bathrooms, I cannot be doing that, oh, I'm now the president, or I'm this, all these upadhis, and then we think, oh, this is too menial for me. No. He is completely absorbed in performing his devotional service. Right. Let's 1 minute. Go back to the words. Yeah. So that's his nature. That's his activity. Right. He does not get disturbed. He performs his activity without over endeavoring in his own capacity. As a Krishna conscious activity, he does not differentiate, or this activity is too high or this activity is too low. He just performs it. However, for the service of the Lord, he can participate in any kind of action without being disturbed by the duality of the material world. Like now, whether it is heat or cold, He does not get disturbed. Oh, today is too hot. I'm not going to distribute books. Right. Srila Prabhupada is a one-man army when he started his Back to Godhead magazine. He will write the articles of the Back to Godhead magazine. Then after writing, publish it, to print it. And after then getting printed, he himself will go out for distribution. Right. Right in scorching hot weather of Delhi, he will go out for distribution. So much so that it's mentioned, we hear about it in Prabhupada, that one time, or even in Abhay Charan we see that one time with that scorching heat, he fell unconscious. But he was unwavered. He was unwavered. He's not disturbed. When he comes to Butler, Pennsylvania, at Gopal and Sally Agarwal's place, and now that Sally Agarwal Mataji was smoking and he was not disturbed. Or in the freeze, no, the refrigerator, they had all this meat, but he had his bhoga capped, not disturbed, unwavered. Right. Just like a lotus flower, when it blooms, it is unwavered in the condition in which it is. Right. Similarly, a Krishna conscious person is not affected by these dualities. The dualities of misery and happiness does not touch him. He's above that. Because he's performing that activity completely for the Supreme Lord. Right. Completely for the Supreme Lord. And because he's performing for the Supreme Lord, he does not become lazy. The other day we were talking, the weakness of Niskam Karma Yoga is, oh, if the results are not for me, then why should I perform the activity to begin with? He becomes sometimes lazy. Right. But a person fixed in transcendental knowledge does not think like that. And we see our devotees right now, Pankaj Angrai Prabhu is affected by COVID and is going through all this breathing difficulty and that difficulty. And right now, 2 days back, somebody had shared a video of him in the hospital, and he was completely describing. It seems, oh, my lung is affected, and this, full consciousness. And we see a picture of him performing arti of Lord Nrsimhadev. When the entire temple room was flooded with Ganges water, right? So much so that the water was above his head, but his hand was above the water, and he is offering arti to Lord Nrsimhadev. And when Janani Vas Prabhu was here at our center, we asked him that, we were so kind of stunned by seeing the level of the devotional service. And he had mentioned, oh, it was Pankaj Angrai Prabhu. And not only that, that he was offering his arti at that time. Somehow a water snake had encircled his the leg. And he was not disturbed, not agitated, and still offering his arti. That's the level of commitment. That's the level of fixedness. It's my time to offer things, so I have to do this. So materially, we may see them being affected by this or that, but they're above these miseries and happiness. They're fully dedicated in the service of the Supreme Lord. And that's how the life is completely glorious. Right? Whether it is heat or cold, whether it is misery or happiness. Right? We see Prahlad Maharaj, we see all these our great acharyas completely absorbed in devotional service. Haridas Thakur completely absorbed in chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Right? Sanatana Goswami completely absorbed, even at his old age, in frailty, in weakness, who have taken a vow that every day I will do 4 parikramas of Govardhan. I'll do a parikrama of Govardhan every day. And no, he does. Mahaprabhu comes, personally, the Lord appears, said, oh, at this age you don't have to. Oh, no, I've taken a vow. So then he takes a shila, he puts his feet on it, and he gives the imprint of that shila with his lotus feet to Sanatana Goswami and tells him, okay, you do parikrama of this shila 4 times, and that's equivalent to 1 Govardhan parikrama. No one's. But at this old age, if you don't go for complete parikrama, that's okay. Or he stays staying in his this hermit bhajan kutir in at the feet of Govardhan, in Govardhan, near Mansiganga, and completely absorbed in his bhajan. And then he sees a lot of insects, mosquitoes around, and he's feeling, compassion towards the mosquitoes. Oh, unknowingly, they may get killed. And that, no, so I'll move from here. And Lord Shiva, who is right there, Chakleshwar Mahadev, he appears in his dream at night, pleading to him, no, don't go away from here. I will instruct all the insects not to bother, not to come near that hermit, so that they do not disturb in your bhajan. Right. That's a level of surrender. Right. That's a level of that surrender. That's the quality of a complete Krishna conscious person. So this is a perfected stage of performing activity in transcendental knowledge without being disturbed by heat or cold, by misery or happiness. Right. Oh, my senses are satisfied by performance of this activity. Now this activity is good. And my senses are not satisfied. This activity is not good. No, not like that. He's steady, both in success and failure. Because the results are not in his hand. He is fully convinced that the results are not in my hand. In my hand is only the endeavor. If the Lord wants to make me successful, fine. If the Lord wants failure, fine. When Srila Prabhupada was going through all the failures in his material business, and that also he used to see the hand of the Lord. Oh, now is the time. Lord has some other plans for me. Okay. And that's how more we depend, more we completely depend on the mercy of the Supreme Lord, take shelter of his lotus feet. Right, we won't be disturbed. Are there any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Madhupati Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that the devotee doesn't borrow or beg something,
Yes.
and he just do the whatever, the endeavor. So,
Yeah.
I mean, whenever we're reading it, the purport, thoughts came to mind. So, in nowadays, when we buy the house, we always do the mortgage to the bank. How we understand that, Prabhuji?
How do we understand that? Yeah. Very good point. So we should try to get things which is in our capacity. Right. We should try to get things which is in our capacity. Now, when it is in our capacity, that does not necessarily mean that, okay, we cannot, yeah, no, here it's taking a loan from the bank, but not beyond our capacity. Many times we see a system here, right? To exploit the system, what people do? They spend more than their capacity, right? They spend more than the capacity. Oh, let me have 10 credit cards, burn it to my maximum credit, and let me go on spending. Let me go on spending. That's completely borrowing. Now, taking a loan to some extent, that's also borrowing. But something which is within your capability, that, hey, every month you'll be able to pay the mortgage without over endeavor. Not that I now stay in such a big palace that my mortgage amount is so huge that to no, just pay that mortgage, I have to work 12 hours, 14 hours a day. Right. So that should be within your capability. Right. But not that for that mortgage payment also now, you borrow money from, oh, I don't have money to pay the mortgage. Can I borrow money from you to this month? I'll pay off next month to you. That's more borrowing. Yes, initially we have this initial provision of taking loans from bank, and it's in one sense borrowing money. But when you take loans which is within your capability, how in the practical sense, how do we apply this principle? If we have our capability that we don't have to take loans, that's best. If not, we should take a loan, something where the mortgage does not, is completely is within your capability to pay off. And pay the loan off as early as possible. Pay the loan off. My father, I remember the 19, not 19, and yeah, initially he had a heart surgery when I had taken him to the hospital, and I had while taking him to the hospital, I had kind of mentioned to my dad, don't fear, just completely be absorbed. I said, why should I fear? I don't have a single dollar debt from anybody. Why should I fear? I have not tried to hurt anybody. Why should I fear? And many times, few times, even we had a routine that was like when he had a surgery for hip replacement, chant Nrsimha prayers before he can go for surgery. And I said, no, I'm not going to fear. Those who are in debt have to always fear. Oh, now the person whom I have taken loan is here. Oh, what should I do? Try to avoid him. Try to be ready for, with some excuse how to, keep him away. Is that all right?
Yes, Madhupati. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Anything else, Punit Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories
No,
to Krishna.
Prabhu.
Prabhuji, you wonderfully cited out examples of devotees who are absorbed in full Krishna consciousness, and they are not so much into the dualities of the material world, and the examples you cited out about for Srila Prabhupada when he was in Pennsylvania and Sherry Agarwal Mataji, they had a different culture. So, question I have, Prabhuji, is that when we notice similar behaviors, um, and this could be in the family, could be in even the immediate family, when people are not in the right, the same level of, I won't even say same level, maybe the same absorption as you want to be, and you see things happening. So what you're saying is, that's what I infer, is that if at all people are doing something which you think it should not be done that way, or so you should be just minding your own business, like just be doing your own bhakti, and not so much, or softly telling them on at times that, okay, we can better do it like this, or we can you know offer the Lord, be it morning or the evening, or anything we make in the home should any time go to the Lord first. Things like these, and especially with the kids. So I was thinking, how much of interference, how much, because we don't want to indulge or nag them, that they have they get a distaste. I won't say distaste, but they started, you know, just avoiding you or running away from you.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, like, how much of uh, uh, interference versus how much you're absorbing yourself into the bhakti and just doing your own business. How to balance that out?
Yeah, very good question. Yeah, so in Grihastha life, we have responsibilities, right? We have responsibility of delivering our dependents, right? Like a king has a responsibility to deliver his citizens. The spiritual master has a responsibility to deliver his disciple. Similarly, a father has a responsibility to deliver his dependents, like his son, daughter, right? So, how do we do that? Means I'm not a grasa, but means taken care of families. More you force things, as and you rightly said, now if you nag and force things, it's not going to happen. They'll start having a distaste of Krishna consciousness itself. But more, no, they see you sacrifice. You are performing your devotional service, you're taking care of the family, you are always having a loving shelter over your children. They will now try to follow. Oh, this seems something nice. My father is so absorbed. Let me also do something. But just because of you telling, oh, now you're chanting, oh, no, now you should chant 16 rounds, oh, no, now you should do this, oh, no, now you should offer, no. It has to be presented subtly. And then, no, when they see you perform things nicely, or they come in contact with peer pressure works better than you telling them. Then it comes naturally to them. Right? Otherwise, no, they will lose the taste. And now, how do you go about doing things? So a Krishna conscious person is not, no, as we see here, is not affected by duality. That, oh, now my dependents are listening to me, so I become happy, or I feel satisfied, and in the moment they're not listening to me, I become agitated. So then you go to the duality, right? Satisfaction and agitation. But if you balance things where you do not go to that duality of satisfaction and agitation, right? Then, no, you are, whatever balancing you do it, but you don't get affected by it. Otherwise, no. While telling them, you yourself will get so affected that your Krishna consciousness will suffer. But if it's done in a balanced way, then your Krishna consciousness will go on, and then they will also follow you. The moment they see that you are getting affected, then they see, oh, they think that, oh, what kind of Krishna conscious person he is. He's always getting agitated, he's always nagging me, he's always telling me things. People, especially in America, people don't like to hear things.
Right.
All right. It's more you tell them, oh, do this, do that. So what is this? As you mentioned, they'll go away. But if we handle them with nice and with love, no, they'll not want to go away. And with you, follow to the extent what they can follow. But then your life will become easier, and you will not get affected in your services, and they will also pick up some devotional service. And slowly, lovingly, it will grow. Is that okay, Punitu?
Yes, Ravi. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Amritananda Prabhu.
Hey Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat all Krishna Prabhupada. I know that Simheshwar Prabhu has a Bhakti Vriksha, so if we can answer it in the next 5-7 minutes, it's great. Otherwise, we could continue it on a Bhakti Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya. Prabhu, first of all, when you gave the example of your father, it really touched my heart. Having known uncle for a long time, what it told me, of course, you were making the point about not owing anybody anything, not being in debt, and how it frees the mind. But what I was reading into this particular example of uncle is a gentlemanly behavior. Now, typically, if someone owes someone money, you'll only feel tension is if you have the intention of returning it back. That character is there to return it back. And we see that many people, they take a loan or they game the system, so to say. But he says, what do I have to be worried for? I don't have anything on my head. So that spoke to uncle's character and brought back great memories. So thank you for that. Related to the class, Prabhu, you're giving examples of Pankajangri, Prabhu and Sanatan Goswami, and how absorbed they are and how, seva over everything else. And you can also understand the level of surrender. So this question is in two parts, Prabhu. First is, it's also the instruction we get that you need to take care of your body. Don't neglect your body. And here Pankajangri Prabhu is, almost drowning. And, what if that snake was poisonous? So, but still he did his seva. He did not take care of so-called body. The seva was more important. And of course, we understand it is because his level of surrender. That happens only because of level of surrender, which then leads to the next part of the question is, how do we know how to get inspired? After you get inspired by a story like this, imitate and follow. How would we know what would be imitation and what would be following in the footsteps of a Vaishnava or an Acharya? Because these people do almost superhuman. And at the same time, it can also be a way to run away and say, oh, they are all advanced. I'm just a neophyte. And, we can tend to cheat ourselves and shy away from going the extra mile. So how do we figure all this out?
No, very good question. So these are all the way I kind of take the examples is these are benchmarks. All right, if you have to put a benchmark of level of surrender, level of humility, level of tolerance, these are our different benchmarks. Now, I may not be there at that particular level, but if my benchmark are high, then it's like if I do some kind of service, we cannot just become puffed up that, oh, see, now I did so much. But then if our benchmark is high, that, oh, I still have a lot of level to cross. Whatever quality of the benchmark we are setting. Benchmark of dedication, the service, right? We started the Yatra, put a logo, service is supreme, right? Now, externally, at any point, we would have said, this activity, no, it's not possible, we cannot do it, right? At each and every step, we would have done that. Whether it was our addition or first addition, Rath Yatra, where 4,000 boxes had to be packed. You remember at night, the devotees, yourself, probably Mataji and all, went to Dwakadish and cooked the entire night.
Yeah.
Prasad, and then we bought it at Subhlakshmi. If we think back at it, oh, no, this cannot be done. Period. No, means. But no, means. That no means. Enthusiasm, utsahan, nishchaya dharya, right? No, means enthusiasm has to be there in the devotional service. Otherwise, at any point, no, means we can say, oh, no, impossible, no, it's too much. Oh, look, something will happen. Oh, no. My new car, I remember, you had your new red van, and once transporting a sabji or something had spilled. Right.
Yeah.
So, then, yes, those initial agitations there, but those are over a period of time. So, no, forget it. I'm doing service. I'm absorbed in service, and that's giving me much more pleasure. So similarly, if I have a set time when I have to make something to happen, no matter what, I have to do that, and that's how Pankajangri Prabhu's case we find. In a set time, I have to make an offering. He will somehow other reach there. And in the photo, I'll probably share that photo one time. You can only see his hand outside. His body is immersed.
Mm.
Because focus is that, I have to offer this article, Lord, at this particular time. Right. And at our stage, we are not there, but at the same time, when we perform our service, and we see that how my Janmashtami comes. Normally, one time cooking itself, it's tiring, especially when you're fasting and cooking.
Mm.
But when we are absorbed in service, Jai Prakash will come, oh, okay. Oh, prasadam is over, I'll cook again, don't worry. Oh, it's over, cook again. And I remember one Janmashtami cooked 3 times. And he's fasting till midnight. But he cooked 3 times. The devotees should have prasad. And we have many examples where people go out of their comfort zone. So when on a special day, when we can extend that much, and suddenly, where does that energy come from? Krishna inspires from within and makes it possible. Right? Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langate giri. The lame man can cross mountains. So that makes it possible when we have that firm conviction. Srila Prabhupada having firm conviction, oh, what am I going to do? I have only this much. But firm conviction, whether it's day or night, I have to follow the instruction of my spiritual master. Right. And in Abhay Charanam, even Prabhupada movie, we see, at different times, is how would I be able to convince all this? But conviction, heart attack, he got 2 heart attacks in cargo ship. Right. Somebody else would have said, oh, okay. It's not going to work out for me. Let me go back. But you say, oh, I can see people, I can see temples. Only time is separating me from them. Commitment, conviction on the mercy of the Supreme Lord and on the instruction of one's spiritual master. Is that all right, Amrita Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Very nice. Thank you.
Hari, Hari. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for a wonderful class. Wonderful points. Selfless service. This is the supreme. Very nice. So also, we would humbly request, and I just sharing our flyer. We are starting a series, Ramakatha, Ramayana Saptak, from tomorrow onwards. Until next Friday, it's a 7-day series. We would humbly request all of you, please take this wonderful opportunity to immerse in glories of the Supreme Lord, Sri Lord Ram. So don't miss this out. And this will be very, very special. We have put together a scheduled topic. It's from Balakanda to Yuddha Kanda, from appearance of Lord Ram and the Balakanda. Then, Ayodhya Kanda. Then Vanaparva, likes the Yuddha Kanda or series of. Please join and please tell to others as well. So thank you so much. So we'll Tomorrow will be inaugurated by His Grace Madhupati and continue the details of the Lord's appearance. So please join everybody. Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna Prabhuji, what time it would be?
Tomorrow starting at 7, 6:30 Kirtan, and
Okay.
7 to 8:30 is Kada, and then question answer if you have any. So 2-hour series.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Eh, Hari Hari.
Let's then conclude and today's session. Let's pay our obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vancha
Kalpatarubhyasya
Kalpataru
Vipasindhubhyascha
Vaishnaveyo namo namah.
Vaishnavi
Jai.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Premanande.
Thank you so much.
Hari
Hari
Bo.
Hari
Thank you so much,
Thank
Madhupati
you.
Prabhuji. Very nice discussion.
Thank you. Hari
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hari Bo.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Madhupati.
Madhupati.
Hari Hari. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.